Hello, and welcome to this training program on calling 911. It is important to be prepared for emergencies that happen in your community. Calling 911 is a simple yet essential action you must be ready to take if and when an emergency occurs. During this video, we will discuss when to call 911, how to call 911, and some do's and don'ts when making that important call, because every second lost could have negative consequences on the persons that need help. We are just about to get started. Please remember to always follow your state regulations and community guidelines in regards to emergency response and calling 911.
Let's start by talking about when to call 911. This is the most difficult decision you're going to make when responding to a resident emergency. The first rule to remember is when in doubt, call 911. If you're ever unsure or uncertain about how severe an emergency is, you should err on the side of caution and make the call. We're under increased pressures to help control healthcare costs. And as a result, we're facing more and more resistance from hospitals and other medical providers when calling 911. You may even be accused of calling 911 unnecessarily. But you have a responsibility to protect the health and safety of your residents. So when in doubt, call 911. Now, of course, there are some obvious examples of when you'll need to make the call to 911. The first would be any type of serious medical emergency, such as chest pain, seizures, or bleeding. You would, of course, also call 911 for any type of fire. This could be a structure fire, a vehicle fire, or even a brush fire near your community. You would also call 911 if there is any crime in progress. If something has been stolen, if someone is breaking into a car in your parking lot, you're going to call for help. Of course, anytime you're in a life-threatening situation, call 911. If you're taking your residents out for a trip and there's a vehicle accident with injuries, call 911. As a care provider, you're likely to encounter a situation where a resident has fallen. These situations can be the most difficult for making the decision about whether or not to call 911. There are some instances where a resident fall will clearly require a call to 911. This would include if the resident is unresponsive, if the resident has an obvious injury, such as a broken bone or they're bleeding. However, there are some times when a resident has fallen and you're just not sure if the call is necessary. The resident may even tell you they don't want you to call 911, that they feel fine and they just want to go back to bed. It's important to refer to your community policies regarding when to call 911 for a resident fall. There can be many injuries or medical problems happening to a resident before, during, or after a fall that you can't see with the naked eye. They may have fallen because they had a stroke. When they fell, they may have fractured a bone but aren't reporting it to you. There could be many things happening that you just can't see when looking at the resident. So once again, you're better off to err on the side of caution and call for help. There may be times when your call for help isn't necessarily a call to 911. For example, if a resident is receiving hospice services, you may be directed to call the hospice agency rather than 911. There may be situations that are urgent but don't rise to the level of 911, so you might be making a call, for example, to the resident's physician. Once again, you'll want to follow your state regulations and your community policies about whom to call during these different emergency situations. Now that you've made the decision to call 911, let's talk about the steps you should follow when placing the call. Know the locations of phones throughout your community. Telephones should be conveniently located and should be available throughout all shifts. For example, if phones are behind locked doors in an administrative office, you would want to make sure that your night staff have access to that office should they need to place a call. You should also think about how you would call for help when you're outside the building. If you take your residents for a drive in the car, if you escort them to the physician's office, or if you simply take them for a short walk, you should always bring a phone with you. Having a cell phone handy will mean that you can always call for help should an emergency arise. There are 4 basic steps you should follow when calling 911. The first step is to stay calm. Be prepared to answer all questions. Follow the instructions provided by the 911 operator. And don't hang up the phone until you're instructed to do so.
This is 911. What is your emergency?
Hello? Yes, I have an elderly resident that's fallen, is on the ground.
Ma'am, could you please explain to me exactly what happened?
My resident is lying on the floor, and she's not getting up.
Okay, is she talking?
I don't know, just please send somebody now, quickly.
Ma'am? Ma'am, are you still there? Ma'am?
Staying calm sounds easy now, but if you're assisting a resident during an injury or medical emergency, that can be a frightening situation. The important thing to remember is to follow the steps that you're learning during this training program. Take a deep breath, try to relax, and dial 911.
This is 911. What is your emergency?
Yes, hi, I'm calling from Happy Hearts Assisted Living in Journeyville, California. We have a resident that appears to have fallen and is unresponsive when we talk to him.
Okay, please don't try to move him. We will be sending someone to assist you. Is there any visible injuries?
Answer all questions from the 911 operator as calmly and clearly as possible. The questions that they ask, no matter how relevant they might seem at the time, are important in helping to get first responders to you as quickly as possible. Typically, the first thing they will ask you is your location, the phone number you're calling from, and the nature of your emergency. Once the nature of the emergency has been established, the caller will ask you for more details regarding exactly what may have happened and the situation that you're dealing with. They may even give you further instructions to assist the person while help is on the way.
Did you or anyone else witness the fall?
I did not, but another caregiver said that they saw him in the library when he had fallen.
Are you aware of any medications this person is taking?
Yes, we have that in his medical records, and we'll make sure to give that to the paramedics when they arrive.
While you may be asked many questions, this information is not delaying help from getting to you. In fact, typically, emergency responders are dispatched as soon as the nature and location of the emergency is known. The 911 call center will keep you on the line and relay additional information to first responders while they're en route. When calling 911, it's critical that you know the location that you're calling from. The address of your community should be posted near every telephone so that you can provide that information to the dispatcher.
Could you tell me exactly where you are located?
Yes, we are at 5500 Main Street in Journeyville, California. We will make sure to have somebody meet you at the lobby when you arrive.
If you're outside the community, do your best to relay your location to the 911 call center. Look for major cross streets or major landmarks that you can provide to help them identify your location. You should follow the instructions provided by the 911 dispatcher. They may walk you through some basic first aid measures, for example, to help a person who is injured. Once again, you'll want to be sure to clarify your community policy regarding following instructions from a 911 operator. For example, if they instruct you to begin CPR and you're not trained or qualified to do so, your organization may have very specific policies about how they want you to respond to that situation. You should stay on the phone with the 911 operator until you're instructed to hang up, unless your safety is threatened. For example, if you're calling during a fire or you're calling from the scene of a car accident, to protect yourself, you may need to hang up the phone and leave the area. Otherwise, stay on the phone until they instruct you to hang up. Once you hang up with the 911 operator, there are some additional steps you can take while you wait for help to arrive. First and most importantly is provide any necessary first aid to a person who is injured. If your policy dictates, this may include initiating CPR. Of course, you'll also want to stay with your resident to reassure them. Help them to stay calm and as comfortable as possible while you wait for help to arrive. It's also important to gather any necessary medical records, such as a current list of the resident's prescribed medications. If necessary, move any furniture so that paramedics or fire personnel can easily reach the person when they enter the community. And lastly, if other staff are available, send someone to the front door to meet emergency personnel and help get them to the resident as quickly as possible.
Hopefully this video has given you a better understanding of how to handle a 911 call situation. Let's do a quick review of what we have learned. You should be ready to call 911 when you believe a person is experiencing a serious medical emergency or life-threatening injury, or when there is a fire emergency or in-progress crime. Remember, when in doubt, call 911. Finally, when calling 911, remember to stay calm, follow directions, answer any questions, and know the location of your emergency. Thank you for watching. Remember, one of our goals as care providers is to keep our residents safe and to look out for their well-being. Proper emergency response will help create a better environment, and it just might save someone's life. We wish you much success and good luck.